So given them choice to read, so they can decide what to read.
Yeah. If it's extensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about the reading plan?
The reading plan.
Yes.
You tell me, what's the reading plan?
Okay. The reading plan is something that help the teacher know the reading comprehension of the student. They give the option for us to pick up a book. Yes. To read it during the whole semester. And at the end, you present like an essay, and you make a presentation for the rest of the class. In my personal experience, I always read the book. Yes, because it's just like I don't want to cheat myself.
No.
Yes, it's just like it's not a thing. Because I'm gonna be a teacher, and I would like my students read instead of go to Google and finding the information of the book. That's what most of the students do. Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you think that that apply to implement the reading plan in the classroom is helpful, or maybe if we can create like certain steps or certain strategies to become, I don't know, to make the reading plan more nice or more.
I think the key is what you described to me is go away, do this, produce this at the end, right? So that's a massive task for someone in another language. It's like read all of this, then write an essay and make a presentation. So you set this challenge, but as you say, there are no steps to completing the challenge, and there's no interaction involved. And so what I would do in that situation is ensure that, like, periodically they were bringing what they'd read into the classroom and responding and exchanging information about it in some way, shape or form. A bit like I described with the graded readers, yeah? So that they were interacting with the text and then doing what we naturally do when we read something, exchanging that information with someone. I read this really good book the other day, or I read this really interesting article the other day. I read this, yeah, that's what we naturally do. We tell people what we read. And so that's what you need to do, so that there's always a clear, you can build it up so that by the end of it, by the end of doing all these little tasks, they're in the right position to then be able to go away and write the essay. But without the stuff in the middle, you're actually just setting a target which most people might find quite unachievable or too scary or too boring. So you need to set a target with clear goals of how to get there, and for the people who think it might be boring, you need to bring the interaction with the text into the classroom in some way, even if it's only like 10 minutes once a week, something.
Well, but if you're saying that in the process of reading the book, it should be an interaction between who? The teacher and the student, or the rest of the students?
I would encourage that interaction to be between the students, and, because I think that, that's what you naturally do. You turn around to your mate and you tell them something, don't you? So, or, it's a bit weird getting students to sort of like produce summaries for their teacher. It's not a very natural task. It is a classroom task, but it's not a very natural thing to do. So as a result, you're almost perverting the use of the text to make some kind of like to meet some kind of classroom routine or ritual. So I would try to do tasks which were natural, and it would be, to me, completely sensible that the exchange was going on between the people in the room, and that exchange would generate more questions and more ideas between more than one head, not just this teacher listening and evaluating and going, very good, Jenny, sit down. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they encourage you to keep reading because they give you more ideas. For example, maybe as you are reading, maybe you understand different book, and maybe one of your partners have read that book before.
Exactly.
So give you an idea. No, but if you go further in the book, you can. It's like it's a good point. And this is a how can an English teacher develop or create an effective reading lesson? You as a teacher.
Like the staging of the lesson.
Yeah.
Is that what
it's
you're
like?
Yeah.
Like if I don't know, like a headline. No, that's not the word. It's like you said that. For example, you're a teacher. How do you prepare? You have to teach them today reading and a reading lesson.
You mean teaching these guys how to teach reading?
Yes, exactly.
Ah, okay. So like training.
Yes.
So what do I tell them to do? Yeah. Okay. Well, remember if we said like it. If we said. I might go to the board.
Okay.
Right. I shan't go to the board. If we said, like we said before, if reading is essentially a decoding process. Okay. It interacts with another process which is called meaning building. Okay. So. Like we said, what happens is you read something, you understand the word, because you know the vocabulary, but you also know what it refers to in the real world. You know the concepts behind it, and that kind of stuff. So there's an interaction between your world knowledge, your socio-cultural knowledge, your knowledge of genre and script, and discourse, and your ability to understand letters, see them forming words, understand where a word begins and ends, know a collocation, no grammatical pattern, no grammatical structure. And all the time as you're reading, these two processes, meaning building, which is building up almost like a mental picture in your head of something, and decoding are interacting. So a lesson needs to have the same elements in it. What we tried to do is get the trainees to ensure that there is meaning building going on in the lesson. So, for example, that would be a prediction task. Predicting from a picture, or from a headline, or from a title, or from some prompt questions, gets students to access their world knowledge and their socio-cultural knowledge. Okay, so we activate the process of meaning building, and that before you've even read a text, you're getting a mental picture of what it's going to be there. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Then stage 2. We want them to see if the mental picture is the same as the text, or if it's slightly different. We want them to get a global understanding of what the text is about. So we're asking them to read for the general idea and to see if the picture is correct. So that would be the next stage. All right?
Okay.
Sort of often skimming, sometimes scanning, but often it's skimming. And then once you've gone from this quite global position, then you can start looking at the detail. Okay, so the next stage would be some kind of detailed reading, which asks learners not necessarily comprehension questions. I know books are full of them, but they're not the most useful ones. Probably things which get learners really trying to understand detail in text, and to understand detail in text that they maybe haven't picked up on before. So things like true-false questions, true-false, are quite good if the statement has a paraphrase of what's in the text, because that first of all, you locate the area in the text. Then you're looking at this and you're looking, well, this is the paraphrase, this is the word or the phrase. And then the only way you can answer if it's true or false is if you understand the text. And if you don't necessarily understand what's in the whole sentence, then you've got to start operating a skill which is called deducing meaning from context. Okay? So that is a combination of your decoding skills, word recognition, pattern recognition, that kind of thing, lexical knowledge, and your understanding of the meaning, your mental picture, all right, to deduce what that phrase means in order to answer that question. So you do that. That's like the next logical case. So you've started off global, you've gone to detail, and you're really then at that level of detail, you're getting them to use both of these processes to understand that part of the message in the text. And then once that's done, then the next stage for me would be responding to the text, responding to the message. So we bring it back to the bigger picture again, and there's some kind of maybe a discussion task, it could be a role play, it could be anything, but productive, where in order to complete the task, they're responding to the content of the text in some way. And the idea of that is it gets them to reprocess the information in a different way, and by reprocessing that information, they get a deeper understanding of the text. Does that make sense? Yes. And that is basically the staging of how maybe an effective reading lesson should work. Now, that will help with comprehension, but it won't help in the long term. What the teacher then needs to do is make the strategies clear to learners. They need to have, maybe give the learners tasks like, oh, after you first read it, put on this line of 0 to 100, how much do you think you understand? So assume there's an X there, okay? And then do some more prediction, and they read it again, and maybe a student puts an X there.
Improve.
And then you talk about the strategy with the students, and you ask them to rationalise why the strategy helped them. Or if it didn't, what's going wrong, which is equally important, and what other strategy do they need. But without making the strategies explicit, you're planning a lesson that suggests that you're guiding students to use operate these two processes and balance them out a bit more effectively, but you don't know what's going on in their heads. So you don't know, we can never know what processes someone is using, or maybe overusing one at the expense of the other. Okay, so for example, a student, very common thing, a student will try and read every word at a low level, yeah? And they'll get so bogged down in the word that they'll ignore any mental picture they had. They'll lose that information, and then something quite obvious won't be apparent to them, and they won't understand the text, when it was completely guessable if they relied a bit more on this processing and a bit less on the decoding. Yeah? So, but if that student doesn't know that's what they're doing, and they don't know the other strategy, maybe anticipating, predicting, that kind of thing, then they're never going to become better readers. So what we talk about is bringing in this meta discussion, higher level discussion of strategies into the classroom, and giving tasks like this so that students become more aware, and then maybe go home and use them on War and Peace.
Well, now this is a personal question.
Okay.
Okay. Do you think that this project, with all that we've been talking, you think that could be good for future teachers? It's like if I create like a list, the steps that a teacher can follow to apply implement a reading plan using mixing intensive and extensive reading. You think that could be good?
It could be amazing, yeah, definitely, 100%, yeah.
And do you know any books or any resources that I can use to find more information?
Yeah, loads.
Yeah.
How about I email you a reading list?
Perfect.
Yeah?
That would be amazing. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
My pleasure, anytime.
It's just like, it's amazing.
All right. Good job.
Thank you.